Hi folks, Carl James here from Electric Media Madness, joining me for a little bit of an update from a previous episode of Strange Tales. So, a couple of weeks ago I put up a video, Star Wars Order 66 and the Knights Templar. And in the video I talked about an encoding of 666, or variations on a theme, in the film. Specifically, I talked about a number of things related to that, but specifically this one scene in the film and how certain things in the dialogue seem to sync up with certain time codes in the films. 6 minutes and 6 seconds and 61 minutes and 6 seconds, I think was it, if I remember rightly. But please go and check out the video anyway if you want to get more information on that. The reason why I've done this video today is because I've recently been contacted by a viewer on social media. Now, I'm not going to mention the identity of this person because I'm not into doing things like that, but I did want to read out the message. Normally I wouldn't make a point of talking about anything that somebody has said to me, a disgruntled viewer, or people have criticised what I do. I've had much of that over the years doing alternative knowledge research. I'm pretty thick-skinned with these things, so it doesn't tend to bother me all that much. But in this case, certainly what I would say is if somebody has got a legitimate grievance with me, it's something that can be corrected or put right or something like that, then I would like to know about it and I will respond and I will try to sort of correct the situation. But this one was a bit of a confusing one to begin with. What I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to read out the message to you. I'm going to protect the identity of this person because, like I say, I don't want to get into that kind of thing. And then we'll go from there. I will explain to you what happened next, what I did, because I was very confused by all of this. So the message reads, I have followed your research for a few years now and have always been impressed with your research and thoroughness. I'm writing to tell you that I can no longer say the same. I recently watched your video Star Wars Order 66 and the Knights Templar. I was really disappointed by something you presented as fact in your video. You said that Revenge of the Sith has loads of 666 references. You also point out a scene between Anakin and Palpatine where he talks about the great mysteries and dogma, and that certain words in the scene line up with variations of sixes at exact times in the film. I hadn't heard this anywhere before, and as a huge Star Wars fan, I was excited to watch the film again and look for things in it. I put the film on Disney Plus and went straight to the 60 minutes and 6 seconds reference you made. I was confused at first when I realised I was watching the fight scene between Obi-Wan Kenobi and General Grievous. I checked the time codes you gave me multiple times and they don't match up at all. In fact, the scene you talked about is a good 5 or 10 minutes later and no link to any 6 time variations. I'm really disappointed in you. I've always felt that you did your investigating really well and backed it up with the facts. Why are you telling people this when it's a blatant lie? It makes me wonder what else you have lied about. Sad to say that I have subscribed from your channel and have no more time for you. I hope you have a conscience. It's hard enough finding good reliable stuff on the internet these days. I thought you were one of the good ones. Okay, so I was a bit confused by this first of all, because one of the things that I try to do, as people who follow my research will do, is if I think if something's just a theory or something's interesting, I will state it as such. I will say it's my opinion, it's a theory, but there's no evidence to back it up, or very little, or it's circumstantial. If there are things that can be corroborated in some way, they can be evidentially verified or something like that, then that's where I prefer to go with my research, because I do believe that if you're going to talk about these subjects, you need to back them up with as much hard evidence as you possibly can, or certainly evidence in any form you can get your hands on. Now, I discovered these things about Revenge of the Sith many years ago. It's got to be at least 10 or 15 years ago that I came across these things and documented them in my first edition of Science Fiction, The Hidden Global Agenda Volume 1, which I think came out around about 2012, something like that. And the information that I put together in the book on these time codes, these 666 variants, were based on observations that I'd made in my DVD copy of, so this is UK Region 2 DVD copy of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, which I have here. And I assumed that was the case still now. So what I did first and foremostly was check to see the Disney Plus version of the film. So I recorded it on my phone. You have to apologise for me being in my woolly hoodie. You see the reflection of me in the camera. I put the film on. I took it to that point in the film, 60 minutes, exactly an hour in, where all these scenes start to line up with these various time codes. And the chap who contacted me is right. It is the fight scene between General Grievous and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it is a good 5-7 minutes later, something like that, the scene between Anakin and Palpatine. So I was really confused at that point. So I looked around, I looked at various versions, things like that, and I obviously had my DVD version. We say it's a UK Region 2 version, so I don't know about other versions, but we'll come to that in a moment. So I also recorded this on my camera. I put it on. I put the subtitles up as well, which is something I actually did on the Disney Plus version as well. So I put the subtitles up so that you can see the line, the great mysteries and the dogma and all that kind of thing, and left the time code bar across the top of my very old DVD Blu-ray player, so you could see that it was that point in the film as well. And imagine my surprise on my DVD version it is actually the scene between Anakin and Palpatine, and that line of dialogue is there at that moment in the film. There's a slight discrepancy with my player, which is there's a slight lag on the subtitles, so obviously you get a full sentence coming up on the screen, or certainly half a sentence, things like that. So there is like a few seconds delay when these if I'd have been able to put the sound on the recording, which I obviously can't do for copyright reasons, but if you do have a copy of it, if anybody out there has a copy of it, the only version I can talk about for definite is the Region 2 UK DVD version. It is there. The scenes do link up. The scenes do sync up with those time codes in the film. So the next question then is, why is the Disney Plus version different than other versions? Now, there could be some conspiratorial reasons for this, but I don't think that's the case at all here. I mean, people might speculate. Maybe they wanted to shift those things around so they didn't sync up, and I would just say that's a theory. It's not anything based on evidence or fact, because, like I say earlier, I don't, I like to signpost those things when I'm saying it. But what I do know is a couple of things. First of all, there are some discrepancies sometimes because of the mechanism, the way in which they're recorded, and how they're transferred to disc and things like that, and shipped around the world. So one example of this I do know of is the Stargate SG-1 television series. If you watch the American versions, compare them to the British disc versions, one is slightly faster than the other, and there's like a slightly higher pitched voice, something to do with the way they were transferred. The episodes on one version, I can't remember which way around it is, but one version, they're slightly shorter. It's like they've been sped up a little bit. And on the other versions, they're slower. So I don't know which one. I'm assuming the American one is the correct one. So whichever way around it is, that would be the accurate one. So I'm wondering if maybe something like that has happened. But would that allow for a whole, at least 5 or 7 minutes difference in the film? I don't think it would, based on just over a 2-hour-long film. And also the fact that this is Disney Plus that we're talking about for the version where you see the scene with Obi-Wan and General Grievous. So the next thing I thought was that maybe this film has been a victim, of all the other Star Wars films have been as well, that they have been tweaked and moved, scenes have been moved around and things like that, and things added in and taken out and stuff like that over the years. Notoriously, back in the 1990s, George Lucas did his special editions of the original 3 Star Wars films, and he added scenes in and took things out and changed things and whatever. So if you were to compare that to the original version, if you wanted to make a time code of when something happens in that film and suggest, as I have done, that there may be some significance to that, that would not apply in the changed versions. Necessarily it wouldn't apply. It might still with some scenes, I don't know. So I think maybe this is what has happened here with the film. Unfortunately, I haven't had the time to go out there and watch every single version of Revenge of the Sith and see what's changed. I will try and get around to doing it at some point, because I'd be fascinated to see what's happened here to change this. If anybody out there does have any thoughts on this, or have any observations or something that they've picked up on, if you have a DVD version, if you have like Region 1 versions for America, you have the Far East versions and things like that as well, please let me know. It might be different with the Blu-ray versions, it might be different with the streaming versions, 4K, all the rest of it. You might find that there are significant differences with all these different versions. So if anybody does have any insight into that, I'd truly appreciate it. Please let me know in the comments. I'd really be up to finding out what that is. And like I say, I am going to investigate it myself and look and find out. But the simple fact of the matter is, I know factually I've been able to prove this, and I proved it originally at the beginning, and I proved it looking at it again very recently, that that scene is at that point in the film, and those words do sync up with those time codes in the film. Now, it doesn't prove that there's a 666 encoding in it. That's just something that I've speculated on as a possibility. But I do want to just make one little comment with regards to the person who got in touch with me. I really don't intend to mislead people. There are times, which such is the nature of alternative knowledge research, where you might not be in full possession of the facts, and then at a later date you do find something out. And what I tend to do whenever that happens is I correct myself. I will say, I got that wrong, or I didn't know about that, and so now I'm going to tell you what I do know. And it's certainly not ever a case of me lying to people who read my books or watch my videos, or in the past when I did the Truth Seekers Guide blog and things like that. Things can change over time. New evidence can come along that casts what we consider to be previous evidence of something completely into doubt, and I'm more than willing to hold my hands up and say that I got something wrong when I did, or I wasn't aware of something at that time. Now I am, and I will correct myself, and then I will apologise if that's caused any problems or issues for anybody. But I do not make a habit of lying. I mean, certainly not consciously anyway. What I present is accurate to the best of my knowledge, and I agree that it's very hard nowadays to find credible information. We live in a post-truth age, and the media lies and dissembles and misleads all the time, and certainly a huge amount of that happens on the internet. Even in alternative knowledge research media, that it happens as well. So wherever I can, I pride myself on trying to be as honest as I can be, as accurate as I can be. And if I've got something wrong somewhere along the line, I'll hold my hands up and I'll apologise, But in this case, it certainly was not a case of me lying to anybody or misleading anybody. If somebody is disappointed in me, for any reason, then let me know, and hopefully it's something that we can put right. And I'm hoping that the person that got in touch with me about this will realise what's happened here, that he's watched a version that has an alteration to it for some means I don't know how, but the version that I based my hypothesis on is accurate. So it does exist. I physically have it. And you can see me putting the disc into the player as well on it. And it's, so it's there. I don't really know what the case is, but I do know the case is certainly not that I am lying or trying to mislead anybody or anything like that. I do my very best to be as credible as I can be, wherever I can be. One final little thought I would say, and this is not directed at the person that contacted me. This is just a general comment, and it's a general observation that I would be mortified if somebody watched me at a talk or read my book or on a video or whatever and said, after they'd heard I'd said something, said, right, we know the truth now. Don't ever take anything that anybody says verbatim. Again, because of the age we live in, if somebody presents you with something, a piece of information, the onus is on all of us to then go and investigate for ourselves, to look into these subjects, to find the evidence for ourselves, to find out exactly what's going on. Then you'll get much closer to the truth. And it's not to say that it's not that I'm not telling you the truth or anything like that, but we should never be reliant just blindly on people telling us something and now we know, because quite often we don't know. I mean, we don't know what people's agendas are. We don't know if people are in full possession of the facts. So this is just a pointer in the right direction. Everything I do is just putting that information out there, and it's a springboard for people to then jump into the research for themselves, to look deeper, and it broadens out all of the different subjects. It takes you into areas that I don't even cover. But please take the time to do the work for yourself. It's really, really worth it. That's what I had to do in the early days of me doing this. I thought it would all be out there. It isn't. You can't rely on anybody. you have to do it yourself. You have to do the work yourself, and the rewards are immense when you get to where you want to go with it. But so if anybody is ever disgruntled by anything that I've ever done, it's certainly not my intention. I try to be as accurate as I can be. I hope this will correct the issue with this person. I hope this person will resubscribe. If they don't, that's fine. It's not a problem. You know, I understand how people can be jolted by things in life. But yeah, and for anybody else out there who wishes to subscribe, like, share this video, I truly appreciate it. I also want to say thank you for all the new subscribers that have come in recently as well. It's, again, truly appreciated. I really do appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.